What is up, everyone? This weekend I attempted to gain 1,000 rating in one single weekend. In preparation for this, I've been giving away free wins all of last week to drop my rating down to 1998 so I could get it all back and reach legend within the 40 sets we got for Go Battle Weekend. In this video, I'll show you a bunch of the teams I used and the battles I did and how my elo progressed throughout the weekend. On day one, I started at 1998 rating in the Master League, and after losing my very first battle to a freaking Tyranitar, I went on a 28 win streak running Reshiram, Zacian, and Metagross. I'll show you some of those battles right now. Starting off with the worst possible lead I can face with this squad, Escadrille, as it beats both Reshiram and Metagross quite hard when shields are up. But if I can get a shield advantage or some energy on either one of those Pokemon, I can one-shot it with Fusion Flare or Earthquake. So this game is not quite over. For now though, I've got to head out of this matchup into really my only hard Escadrille answerization. But I really hope I can get some shields first, whatever comes in with this dog, so my other Pokemon can sweep the Escadrille. But unfortunately, that doesn't end up being the case, as basically the hardest answer to Zacian comes in Metagross. I can get off the close combat, but after that, I gotta let it go and bring in my Reshiram and hopefully get a full farm down against this Metagross. Unfortunately though, instead of going shields up like I intended, I go a shield down to get all this energy, as I do have to shield up the Earthquake. But I do get a ton of energy here. I have 1.5 Fusion Flares loaded to throw at the Escadrille right now, so that is quite nice. Comes out now, throw my first Fusion Flare, and I want to try to CMP on the drill run now, but unfortunately in my attempt to CMP I miscounted and now I have to shield this up. So this is actually really bad now, but my opponent might make a little bit of a mistake here by switching in a Dragonite, trying to catch a Fusion Flare, because this will allow my Metagross to come in and get a good amount of farm. I didn't farm too much. I only need to farm until I'm like 5 away from a move. So that's basically what I did, because Metagross does win CMP versus Escadrille. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. CMP tie, throw the Earthquake. This will knock out if they no shield, and if they shield, I still have a Fusion Flare loaded, and my opponent realizes that, hopes that throw the Meteor Bash there doesn't kill, gets knocked out by the Earthquake. GG's. Alright, Heatran lead, not a Pokemon you usually see. Does have access to Stone Edge, so it's super effective versus Reshiram, so kind of scary, but my opponent actually ends up switching out into Garchomp, but just a very good situation for my Zacian. I no-shield the first move, thinking it might just be a Sand Tomb, but it ends up being the Earth Power. It does do a decent chunk of damage, but luckily not too much. Out comes the Heatran again after I take out the Garchomp. Just gonna throw close combat almost right away against this thing. Even with the drop, I don't think I die before I get to another close combat, and I do reach another close combat. Heatran is extremely tanky though, so if they no shield this, be sure to still live, but opponent actually ends up double shielding. Now, like I said, Heatran can have access to Stone Edge, so we'll shield this, because I do think that will do a lot of damage. They end up throwing a Flamethrower. Flamethrower is 55 energy, just like Stone Edge, so I'm not expecting them to have Stone Edge now. Be weird to bait in that case. But they do have Stone Edge. My opponent actually just completely outsmarted me there by baiting with a double resisted move. Almost takes out my Reshiram, but luckily not completely. So I was able to get off the Fusion Flare, farm down the Heatran with my Metagross, and there's a Melmetal in the back. At this point, I just gotta wait until the Melmetal throws a superpower. Then my Earthquake will knock out. Oh, I believe my opponent at this point realizes the game is over, as I have a shield up, and well, Metagross, which can now Earthquake the Melmetal, so they basically just conceded the match, and my Metagross farms down the Melmetal. GG's. Next match, a battle of Reshiram and Zekrom. I'm gonna go straight away for the Crunch here. My opponent didn't throw a move, so I'm firing off a mine right here. I grab a shield, their defense drops, and they switch into Kyogre. Interesting move by my opponent, but they will be able to farm me down. Not before I get to a Crunch though, but they will be able to farm me down afterwards. I'm very happy to see this here though. My Metagross definitely doesn't want to see it. Gonna switch in my Zacian after getting off that crutch, because, well, again, my Reshiram is almost dead and my Metagross doesn't want to see it. Go for the close combat here, hoping they no shield. If they shield it, I should be able to get to another one. They do shield that. Actually, I could also let this go and just farm out with Metagross, but I would take so much waterfall damage in the process that I don't think it's worth it. I'm gonna shield that up. Go for another close combat right before I'm about to go down. Should knock out the Ogre, and then hopefully Metagross has flavors, whatever is in the back. It is a Mamoswine, and I have to remember the Zekrom also has a move, so if this Mamoswine takes a shield, I might be in trouble. So I catch the high horsepower here on my Reshiram, or this might be an Avalanche Bait as well. Actually ends up being a high horsepower, so this is a huge catch right there. Out comes the Zekrom. I'm gonna shield this up. I think in hindsight might be a mistake, because if that's a crunch, I actually do survive it, but I wouldn't survive the second crunch if the first one gets a debuff, I think. So a little bit risky, but still fine. It was just a fusion bolt anyway, so no defense drop, and I was able to farm to 2 meteor meshes, take out the Zekrom, and now take out the Mamoswine. GG's. I ended up doing 10 sets with that team, of which the first 9 were positive, and ended at 2489 rating. At which point I pivoted to Great League for the rest of the day, running probably the most fun team of the weekend: Medicham, Noctowl, and Shadow Charizard. Team I stole from Zardy, who stole from 23 EJB, so shout out to those guys. It's an awesome team, and I ended up doing the rest of my 11 sets with it, some of which I'll show you right now. But first, let me explain how I did 10 sets of Master League, and I'm now gonna do 11 sets of Great League, when you are only supposed to get 20 sets on Go Battle Day, and I did 21. Doesn't really add up, but there's actually a very simple trick to do that. I'm sure a lot of you already know about it, but I do get frequent questions about this, so I thought I might as well clear it up. This works on any day, not just Go Battle Day, but for this Go Battle Day on Sunday, I just didn't play all my sets on Friday, but I did start a set on Friday. So I started a set on Friday, didn't play the battles until Saturday, and those battles I played don't count towards the set cap on that day. This also works on regular days, by the way. If you don't feel like doing all your battles one day, just start a set, don't do the battles, then you can do 6 sets on a day when you really feel like battling. Anyway, let's get into the battle, starting off with a terrible lead. Sableye versus my Medicham. I switch into Noctowl, which will always be your pivot in this line. And out comes an Azumarill. Honestly, a tough Pokemon to deal with for this team, as technically all 3 of my Pokemon lose versus it. But luckily, both Medicham and Noctowl have a lot more play than you sometimes expect. Look at this. Ice Beam really does nothing. These Sky attacks are adding up, and I do outpace Azumarill, especially with the little bit of energy advantage I have here. I might actually be able to win the one shields. They are going to get to another Ice Beam right here. I could let this go and fully farm now with my Medicham, but I would need to use a shield then. So what I decided to do is shield here, farm up a bunch of energy, then I'm gonna throw right before their next Ice Beam right here, and if they wanna keep switch, they gotta shield this, but I already have another Sky Attack loaded, so they'd have to use both shields, which they don't end up doing. Honestly, it's not ideal. The way this team works is you kind of want to get both shields down with your Noctowl and Medicham, and then Charizard can sweep. If you end up in a shield deficit, it's definitely not ideal. Luckily though, I'm able to grab a shield with that first Sky Attack, and I just barely get to my next Sky Attack here. Now Sableye is loaded on energy. I can't bring in Charizard. So basically get one shot by a foul play, as it is literally made of paper. So I actually switched in my Medicham, which seems insane since I'm taking super effective, of course. But I can take both these foul plays, get the Ice Punch, and then take out the Sableye, and hopefully Charizard can deal with whatever's in the back. So I'm gonna get off this Ice Punch, will knock out the Sableye, instant switch into my Charizard no matter what. It's a Lickitung, not amazing, because they outpace to 2 Blast Burns. 2 Blast Burns takes 26 turns, and they only need 24 for double body slam, which will definitely take me out. So I bait with the Dragon Claw successfully. This way, Dragon Claw plus Blast Burn only takes 22 turns, less than 24, so I should outpace here. Get to the Blast Burn right here. Does this knock out the Lickitung? I don't think it will, but it brings it very close. Oh, my Weird Attack doesn't hit though. My Medicham is still alive. If I can survive 2 licks, we will win this pretty hard counter game, and I do take out the Lickitung. GG's. Alright, Deoxys, another very awkward Pokemon for this team to deal with, but Deoxys also can't beat all three, even though technically has coverage for all. This Medicham matchup is actually very, very even though, well, I don't really have great moves for this thing. It doesn't really have great moves for me either. Best it can hit is Thunderbolt or Psycho Boost, which Thunderbolt is non-stab and Psycho Boost debuffs him. So this ends up being a pretty even matchup. They're going to throw another move here. And usually I can survive this and just barely get to another Ice Punch at 1 HP, which I do. That's pretty huge. Now they're like 2 away from a Psycho Boost at this point. So I'm going to bring in Noctowl to eat the Psycho Boost. I know that they can't go for Thunderbolt even if they try. So this is only going to be a Psycho Boost. And I get a nice amount of farm on my Noctowl. Now, what do they bring in? They bring in their own Noctowl. Not too bad for me. I have a little bit of energy. But that Psycho Boost has put me in a range where they will probably be able to Sky Attack and fully farm me down. If this Noctowl gets too much energy, my Charizard will be in real trouble. So still not looking like amazing. I'm going to throw this next Sky Attack. I'm pretty sure we CMP tied here. She uses Shield, which is huge. At this point, I've gained the Shield advantage I want for Charizard. So I'll let that Sky Attack go, bring in my Zard, and now we're just going to start farming up. During the match, I was counting diligently. I will definitely try to CMP on their next move. I can't tell you when that is, honestly, because I haven't been counting diligently during the commentary, but trust me, during the battles, I was definitely counting. Anyway, out comes Umbreon. And this is one tanky Pokemon, but a Blast Burn does a ton of damage. Sadly, doesn't put it in range for a Dragon Claw quite yet. So I gotta shield this, hope I can reach a Blast Burn right now, but it actually reached the foul play right before. Do I live though? I live on 1 HP. I have a Dragon Claw loaded, but I don't throw it because I don't think it will knock out yet. So I prefer to go into Noctowl here to get the wing attacks, throw the Sky Attack, take out the Umbreon, and the Noctowl should be in Dragon Claw range, and that's what I saved it for. Take out the bird, hopefully. Dragon Claw's only Dragon Claw. It's not that hard of a hitting move, but it does take out the Noctowl. It's a really nice game. GG's. Okay, Pelipper lead. Very bad for this squad, but actually Charizard can win the 2 shields there. On even energy, Charizard can win the 2 shields there, since you get to your move at the same pacing, and Charizard wins CMP. And once you've done enough wing attacks, the Dragon Claw actually knocks out. So I need to save 2 shields here, is my plan. Whilst I've been telling you all of this, my Noctowl has been locked in versus a Bastiodon, which is, yeah, quite bad. I'm not even gonna fully charge this. I want as much energy on the Medicham as possible, because if I can farm down this Basti, oh man, if I can farm down this Basti with Medicham, I'll have energy to throw out the Pelipper, and Pelipper really doesn't want to take a Psychic. Hopefully my opponent stays in. If they switch out, that's actually a big problem, but generally, this Pelipper Bastiodon line has like a Galarian Stunfisk in the back, and in that case, they really don't want to give up Switch, because then my Medicham is going to be aligned to their Galarian Stunfisk later, and it wouldn't be too great. I'm going to go for the Psychic here. She'll probably take a shield or a bunch of health. Actually takes a bunch of health. Out comes the Galarian Stunfisk after switching Zard. Kind of need to bait here, otherwise I won't really have enough energy to deal with the Pelipper later. And they call it. Oh my goodness, they call the bait, and this just puts me into a terrible situation. Because now I'm going to have to shield these Rock Slides. I'm going to end up being a shield down. And yeah, it's just not looking too good at this point. I'm going to throw another bait because I expect they have to shield at this point. I also have to shield though. I was also considering no-shielding this, just fully farming up with Medicham, but that definitely wouldn't have worked because the Pelipper is already basically at a move. I'm going to bait again. Honestly, at this point, I'm expecting them to no-shield, but I kind of need them to shield this to win this game. But yeah, they do no-shield. Bring in my Medicham, hoping to catch a move there, but that also doesn't happen. So at that point, it's just game over. Terrible lead, but still, I think a winnable game if I got the bait game correctly. Like if I Blast Burned that G-Fisk, I would have just absolutely destroyed it. Anyway, next game, a Drifblim lead. Absolutely terrible for this line because Medicham just hard loses to it. and they can just stay in versus Noctowl, Icy Wind, debuff me before they switch out. So they're bringing an Umbreon, and Umbreon took the Sky attacks just fine before the attack drop, but now with the attack drop, they do like almost nothing. Like, I have no chance in this matchup, but it is a good opportunity to farm up. You know, Metacham still has coverage versus Drifloon with Ice Punch, so what I'm actually going to end up doing is keep all this energy, switch into my Metacham, and start farming up here as well, so I can throw Ice Punches at the Drifblim. Actually throw 2 foul plays before they switch out. I think either to burn the timer or just because they want the chip. Honestly, I feel like they would have been better just holding on to that energy. But, you know, I'll take it, because one move from the Drifblim knocks me out anyway. And now I don't have to worry about those foul plays later. Anyway, with the Ice Punch on the Drifblim, and then I'm gonna get a bit lucky here, because they're gonna overfarm so much, and this happens. They have a lot of energy. What? They throw! That is so good for me. Why would you throw? Okay. I go for the extra wing attack since I lose CMP anyway. Why wouldn't you throw, dude? What's going on, dude? What are they doing? I don't understand the thing. Okay. Oh no. The devil. Oh, this is so bad. Okay. We were just talking about this thing. Was this 5? I think it was 5. 6. 7. Dude, they just gave me the only win condition possible. I have to make this happen now. I have to make this happen. I think I have Blossom kills. I think I'm fine. Throw here. No, I think Blossom plus wing attacks should be enough. Like, resisted Blossom from Shadow Zard should still do a ton on Azu. Reggie, oh yeah, Registeel would be terrible for this trainer. Oh yeah. Let's go, dude! I should have never won that. So that is why you never leave a game, no matter how bad it looks, as your opponent can always mess up. I've definitely been on the other side of that as well, you know. My opponent was just trying to time his moves appropriately there, but it ended up biting him in the bum. I've definitely been there too. Anyway, this next game, a Metacham Mirror, always just switch in Noctowl here. As with this team, you kind of have to save your Metacham for potential Lantern in the back, so you lure it out with your Noctowl this time. Opposing Noctowl comes out though, which is fine with me, as I have the energy lead here now. Because of the couple extra counters of damage to have on my Noctowl though, they will likely win switch advantage here, but that's super fine with me because I have my Charizard that also still beats Metacham, and I don't seem to have like a Bastiodon or a Lantern in the back, which means my Charizard with a shield advantage will probably be good versus basically anything. The reason I say that I don't have a Bastion or a Lantern in the back is because they didn't switch it into my Noctowl, by the way. That is what you would normally expect to happen. Anyway, they bring in their Metacham here. I'm going to go straight for the Blast, where it takes him out from almost full health. Absolutely disgusting. Now, do they bring in a Noctowl? No, they bring in their own Shadow Charizard. They're running the same team. This team actually seems to be kind of common these days, because, well, a lot of people have ran it. I saw it on Inadequacy's channel first when it was piloted by 23EJB. That was a month ago or so. And then a couple days ago, Zardy, who reminded me of the team because he posted it on Twitter. He reached Legend with the squad, so I think a lot of people are picking up on this line. Definitely not the only one I saw. Anyway, this next battle, Lola Ninetales lead, which you always respond to with Noctowl if it's Charm. So you do one counter. If it's Powder Snow, you stay in. Just Psychic. If it's Char, you switch out into Noctowl. But this time brought in a Galarian Stunfisk, which really isn't that bad of a matchup for Noctowl. They have to shield a second Shadow Ball, or they risk giving up Switch Advantage. At this point, I'm not even going to go for Switch Advantage. I'm fine with Shield Advantage. Again, this team thrives on Charizard having a huge shield and energy advantage, so I don't mind my Medicham getting locked into the Alolan Ninetales again. I'm going to farm down this G-Fisk now, actually get to a Rock Slide here, which is kind of painful. Does do a little bit more damage, puts me into easier Charm down range. Still going to be able to hit a Psychic here though, which I do want. You know, Charms actually do a ton versus Charizard. By the time you get to 2 Blast Burns, you're almost dead. So doing this chip is very nice, because that means I can basically farm it down. Out comes a Medicham now, and this is looking pretty good. Look at how much damage those wing attacks do. It's actually kind of insane. Throw Ice Punch, which I shield up, would do a decent chunk of damage, so a good shield. I don't really need the shields for Ninetales anyway. I'm gonna go for their Dragon Claw. This point should knock out the Medicham, unless they shield, but they do let it go down. Out comes Ninetales. I build up to double Blast Burn. I go for their Dragon Claw anyway. I don't know why. I think it kills anyway, it doesn't really matter, but I just want to show some dominance with a bait, I guess, which I do, and it allows me to hit the Blast Burn right now. Bye-bye, Alolan Ninetales. Next game, a Venusaur lead, not great. I switch in my Noctowl, out comes another Galarian Stunfisk. Again, this is a super fine matchup for Noctowl. My Noctowl also has a little bit of attack. It's like, my Noctowl is like 0-10-0, which, I mean, 0 attack, but because I lack some HP in defense, it's still higher attack than most Noctowl. And because of that, you actually reach a breakpoint versus Galarian Stunfisk, which allows your big attacks to do more damage, which makes this matchup a lot more comfortable for Noctowl. Look at that, I'm able to bring it deep into the red, and if I wanted to, I could shield the next Rock Slide and farm his G-Fisk all the way down, but I don't think I want to. Venusaur isn't that great versus Medicham. So if I get a little bit of farm here, I can Ice Punch it, or I just switch into Charizard as well. I think, yeah, I just switched instantly. I wasn't expecting like an amazing counter to Charizard in the back, since I switched in their G-Fisk versus my Noctowl, which means I can't really have a Bastion or Lantern in the back, and I end up being correct. It's a Pelipper, and like I said earlier, it's a fine matchup. Actually, this is like the first time I faced a Pelipper, and what I didn't realize is if I just don't throw any Dragon Claws right now, I fully farm this down. So that's what I should have done, but I just wasn't too sure of that, so I end up throwing anyway, because I feel like this is a safe play as well. They're gonna have to use both shields, and then I farm down with Medi, Psychic, the Venusaur. But you know what, I think they noticed that as well, so they decided to just let their Pelipper go, bring in Venusaur, Frenzy, and this could, or actually Sludge Bomb, kill my my Zard, and this could actually still get quite scary. I do have a little bit of energy, and I think their Venusaur is kind of energy dry, but if they outpace me to 2 Frenzies now, it's definitely game over. I think they're dry right now, though. I think I barely reached the second Ice Punch. I'm gonna double now. If they have Frenzy, it's over, but they might still be 1 away. And they were, so I get to my next Ice Punch. This will knock out the Venusaur, and that's another good game right there, GG's. After doing all the battles on day 1, I won 75 out of 105 battles and gained 759 elo. Very good start, and I was confident I'd be able to complete the challenge, but little did I know, things were about to get a whole lot harder. The start of day 2 was rough. I tried out several different teams, the main ones being Medicham, Umbreon, Noctowl, Mantine, Registeel, Sableye or Trevenant, and Abomasnow, Sableye, Medicham, but nothing really stuck. Every positive set was followed by a negative one, and after 10 more sets on day 2, I even lost 6 points compared to where I started. So, not a great first half of day 2. However, then I ran into my buddy Jox, who was running a very solid squad of Swampert, Drapion, and Noctowl, which I decided to try out, and on my very first set I got a 5-0, which meant I'd finally broken into the 2800s, and I decided I'll run that team for the rest of the day. I'll show you some of those battles right now, starting off with an absolutely horrible lead, Swampert into Altaria. Honestly, my whole team kind of struggles with Altaria, but at least Drapion and Noctowl put up a fight, so I switch in my Drapion. It's going to be a pivot in this line, as it is much more flexible than Noctowl, as I will prove with this matchup. Noctowl will get absolutely obliterated by Registeel, of course, but Drapion actually has a lot of play. Unfortunately, I don't get the debuff on the first crunch, but I also don't get debuffed by their Zap Cannon, which means these next two crunches will still knock out, and they won't be able to lock on me down. I get the defense fell on that second crunch, but it really doesn't matter. The crunch would knock out anyway, but it is nice to put on more pressure on this Registeel later. Anyway, we're able to take a shield there as my opponent wants to retain switch advantage. I'm gonna shield up my Swampert there. For a second there, I was considering no shielding, but you know what? These Hydro Cannons are still gonna put on a lot of pressure on Altaria, and I'm able to farm down the Registeel as well, which is just huge. So we're looking not too bad here, but it's really gonna depend on what's in the back at this point. I'm gonna fire off a Hydro here, so we'll do a decent chunk to Altaria, but not that much, because Altaria is super tanky. I bring out my Noctowl. Out comes Medicham. Not too good for me, as Medicham survives a Sky Attack and gets to 2 Ice Punches, which I will have to shield up one of them. At least, well, I only have one shield, so I can only shield one of them. And I'm gonna have to take the next, which is gonna put me into a range where the Altaria should easily be able to farm me down. So we're not looking too good here, but at least I'll have 2 Sky Attacks, or almost 2 Sky Attacks, stored up after this matchup to throw into the Altaria. Farm down a Medicham, out comes Altaria. I'm gonna go for the first Sky Attack here. If this gets shielded, I might actually try to risk it and throw the Shadow Ball. It does get shielded. I go for the Shadow Ball because it does slightly more damage than a single Sky Attack, and every single bit of health I can take away from his Altaria is huge, because I need this Hydro Cannon to knock out to win this game, as I'm pretty sure I have a lot of energy, and it does take out the Altaria, and we win that pretty hard counter game. Speaking of hard counters, Trevenant into the lead. Here, I bring in my Drapion. They stay in for a while, so I'm like, wow, they really don't have an answer to Drapion, but no, they were just farming up to a Seed Bomb right there. Very smart play by my opponent, because Bastiodon is pretty dominant in this matchup. Actually, I think if you have Aqua Tail, you're actually able to flip some shield scenarios here, but I'm not running that. I'm running Crunch, which I prefer, I think, or everyone, you should always run Crunch. I'm running Sludge Bomb, which I actually prefer. I think Jox, who I've faced running this team, is running Aqua Tail. It does help in versus steel Pokemon like Bastiodon or Stunfisk, but I found Sludge Bomb to come in very clutch as just a harder hitting move in neutral situations and against fairies like Azumarill. So, and Umbreon too. I've seen a lot of Umbreon come into my Drapion, so Sludge is coming very clutch there. Anyway, I fully farmed down the Bastiodon and in comes Trevenant again. This is why I love Shadow Swampert, okay? I'm gonna have to shield up this first move, but now it's time to unleash the Hydro Cannons. And since I'm Shadow, 2 of these will knock out, and I have a ton of energy too. Throw 3 more Mud Shots actually. Go for the next Hydro. It's 5 Shadow Claws per Seed Bomb. They've only thrown 9, which means there's still 1 away for the next. And I get all of these Hydro Cannons off without having to use another shield. If they want to keep the Trevenant alive, they're going to have to shield this up, which they do. I switch on my Noctowl, they throw the Seed Bomb, and now I just got to hope that whatever's in the back, my Noctowl can manage. And if this is the team I'm thinking of, it should be fine. Yes, it is. It is the Drapion in the middle. It's the Trevenant, Drapion, Bastiodon line, pretty common line that was made popular by Caleb Peng. You might know him from his Go Battle League videos. But yes, this is a team he made. A lot of people are running. And my team, even though you lose lead, can deal just fine with it, as you just saw. They're going to throw an Aqua Tail here. What am I doing? Oh yeah, the Trevenant. Does the Trevenant have energy? Actually, I think during the game, I was worried the Trevenant might get to a Seed Bomb, but just watching this back, they only did 1 more Shadow Claw, I think, so I don't know why I was so worried. I get there easily. We take out the Trevenant, and that is a good game. Okay, Medicham lead, not ideal for Shadow Swampy, and as always, I need to save my Shadow Swampert just in case there's a Steel type. So what I always do is I throw a Hydro Cannon, I dip into Drapion. Anytime you are not sure what to do in a matchup, just throw a Hydro Cannon and dip into Drapion. It's that simple. That's what Swampert lead does. That's what Swampert lead is best at. Just Hydro Cannoning, dipping. If you see a Pokemon come into your Swampert and you're not sure what to do, Hydro Cannon, dip out. Unless it's a freaking Shadow Vic, of course. Dip out instantly, because you're gonna die to Razor Leaf really quickly, just like my Drapion died to the Earthquake. Now though, I have a choice to make here. I could have thrown the Hydro before the Earthquake, but I really favor having this energy, because I'm gonna explain that real quick. Stunfisk is a very low fast move pressure Pokemon, which means that I can easily farm up against it. With my Swampert. If I were to throw the Hydro Cannon there, and I would bring in the Medicham, that's a high fast move pressure Pokemon, and it's going to be way harder to get to the Hydro Cannons. So that's why I opt to give up a shield there for energy advantage, because I would never get to those Hydro Cannons if I were to try to get them versus the Medicham, you know, because the counters would take me out before I would be able to get to those Hydros. Anyway, out comes Medicham again. I go for the next Hydro. This takes a shield. Unfortunately, it was a CMP tie, so we'll have to shield this move up because the Psychic would knock me out and do throw a Psychic. I'm going to overfarm just a tad. They catch a move on their Walrein, which is just awful. If I hadn't thrown that, I would have been able to Earthquake, and I might have been fine. But now we're just looking really bad. I go for the Hail Mary Earthquake, hoping they let it go. Try to sweep with Medicham, but unfortunately they shielded, and now my Noctowl is, just countered. I'm still hoping that if I can throw the Sky Attack before the next Icicle Spear, I can maybe farm down the Medicham, but they're already there. And Walrein wins CMP, so I lose the game. Still, though, for a kind of hard counterish game with Stunfisk versus Drapion and Noctowl versus Walrein, we got very close. So I think with a little bit of better play on my side, it is a very winnable match. Anyway, next match. Another Medicham lead. What do we do? Hydro Cannon, dip. Hydro Cannon, dip. That's the name. That's the name of this team, okay? Any Swampert lead team. It's just Hydro Cannon, dip. Always the strategy. Anyway, they throw an Ice Punch and dip into the Shadow Charizard. If you watch the whole video, this team might... Oh, it's actually regular Charizard, which means the Crunch didn't knock out. I should have maybe thrown Sludge there, but I was really expecting that to do more damage or to see a shield. So, yeah. But yeah, if you saw the whole video, you probably recognize this line. It's going to be a Medicham, Noctowl, Charizard. At least that's what I'm expecting. So get a shield down there, because with Swampert against a high fast move pressure Pokemon like Medicham, which we might see in the end game, I really want shields down. As when shields down, I take the least amount of counters as possible. Anyway, it is Noctowl like I was expecting, and because of that energy lead, I do get to my moves quite quickly here. I'm going to overfarm a bunch though, as, you know, a Sky Attack doesn't knock out yet. When a move doesn't knock out yet, there really isn't that much reason to throw it. So just always try to overfarm as much as possible. Actually switch into my Swampert there, because they are in Hydro Cannon range at that point. They switch in their Medicham, and they get taken out by a Hydro Cannon at that point. Here comes Noctowl. They throw right before my next Hydro. Very good timing by them. I think they're basically dry. So I'm just going to throw my Hydro, or shoot it up, throw Hydro. And now I think I might be able to get to another one. And if I don't, I think my Noctowl will be able to finish off theirs. But I do end up getting there. So we'll be able to take out their Noctowl. And I win the game. Very nice. Okay, what is up in the next match? Ooh, bastard only. You'll have to see this. Out comes Medicham. You instant switch Noctowl and go straight for the Sky Attack. What I'm doing here is a mistake. You don't always win CMP versus Medicham. Just go straight for the Sky Attack and let them decide the shielding scenario, alright? If they shield, you shield, okay? Because if they shield and you don't shield, they can actually flip this matchup. So, you know, always throw your Sky Attack before they're able to fire off a potential Psychic. With these Bastiodon lead teams, it's usually Power Punch Psychic, so you don't really have to worry about Ice Punch. But if they're able to Power Punch and hit the Psychic, you're in deep trouble. So that's why I shield that second move, because Psychic would definitely knock me out. Actually, I allowed them to do extra counter damage there. I wanted them to get me lower, but they stopped tapping. So at that point, I just finished them off, you know. Now this Bastion gets some farm, but it's not too bad. I already know what's in the back. This is a very basic team. Shadow Victory Bell. Look at how much damage that one Razor Leaf did, by the way. It's insane. But yeah, Shadow Victory Bell. No problem for Drapion at this point. Gonna throw a Crunch. This will get a shield, and we're looking pretty good. Even get a defense fall. Not like that's gonna matter. I shield this up if the Leaf Tornado doesn't kill. It's what most are running these days, I've noticed. But yeah, might as well shield. I don't need shields for my Swampert. I'm gonna farm up as much as possible here. Or not farm up as much as possible. I want that Victory Bell to basically kill me. Almost kill me. So that the Bastiodon only gets one Smackdown worth of energy. so that I don't risk getting hit by 2 stone edges. I mean, that honestly would never happen anyway, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Anyway, we're going to take the stone edge, build up to the earthquake, and knock him out. But before I can do that, they concede the match and I win another game. After all those battles, I ended up at 2996 rating with 1 set left, which meant I needed to 3-2 at minimum to complete my goal. So I queue up, same team, and first battle, I lose. Not a great start, but then I managed to win the next 2 games, which means I only needed 1 more win, and then this happens. I get the perfect lead. They switch into Medicham. I know how to play this, but I don't play it how I'm supposed to. I go for the Shadow Ball because Shadow Ball does more damage, so I'm able to farm down easier to throw the Psychic. I'm like, fine, they're just gonna no-shield the Shadow Ball, and I win. But they shield it up, and at this point I realized I've messed up. Why did I change my game plan? Like I told you guys, you sky attack before they're able to get to a move and you will always win. And I didn't do that. I choked. I let them get switch advantage, and I know it's a Shadow Victory Bell in the back. I have 2 options at this point, and I decide to go into Swampert. Why? Well, because I only see 1 win condition here, and it is farming up to a Hydro Cannon and basically an Earthquake. So I can Hydro Cannon a Medicham, then Earthquake the Shadow Victory Bell, and then completely obliterate the Bastion with an Earthquake as well. If I go into Drapion into the Medicham, I will be able to take care of the Medicham, but then the Bastion comes out, takes care of my Drapion, and then what is my Swampert gonna do versus the Victory Bell? So this seemed like the only path out, but they're already boosted once. They're gonna throw another Power Punch here. These counters are really gonna start to add up, so this is not looking good. I keep farming, I farm. I'm almost dead at this point. I'm basically in range where a Shadow Razor Leaf knocks out. And the worst part is you can't even farm up to a Hydro Cannon plus an Earthquake. You need 1 more Mud Shot afterwards. So I'm at 100, but I don't get my Earthquake at this point. It's over, and I completely choke that match. Luckily, I had a chance of redemption in game 5, but I failed! Dude, I should have won those other 2. I played so bad. Do I have another set? We were right. I'm done. Eloquence still right live? Yeah, we're rating in Eloquence. Alright guys, thank you very much for hanging out. It's been a good weekend. I'm really sad I failed, but we had some good battles still. I just couldn't end the weekend on a bad note though. So like any responsible adult, I stayed up past midnight and did my battles right as it turned Monday. I played a couple different teams and I managed to hit Legend after 4 more sets. After exactly 1 hour past midnight, I managed to hit 3005 rating. You know, I might have failed the challenge, but still happy. You know, I climbed from 2000 elo back to Legend in only 225 battles, and I gained almost 450,000 dust along the way. So overall, successful Go Battle weekend. Anyway, that ends my journey. Let me know how your Go Battle weekend went in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.